Hi everyone, it's Aiden here with eTrailer.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Furrion Vision S wireless RV camera system here on our 2020 Reflection fifth wheel by Grand Design. This is going to be a really great way to get those extra cameras on your rig to give you more visibility. This whole kit includes a backup camera, 2 side marker light cameras, and a 5-inch touchscreen to monitor all of them from the inside of your vehicle. Let's check it out. Inside the truck, we can take a look at that touchscreen. And here we're going to see all of our cameras in real time. We can actually see a car driving by right now. But if I tap the screen, that'll wake it up, let us select whatever camera we'd like, or we can press it again and hit view all. That's going to give us a view of all 3 at the same time. So we've got our left camera, our right camera, and our rear camera up top. Once you let it time out, it'll go back to whatever camera it defaults to, and you can again cycle through them as you need. Now with the rear camera here, we also have sound that you can hear there, and if we want to, we can mute it, unmute it and hear the car going by, mute it again. So that's going to really help us out if we've got maybe someone in the back guiding us into a parking spot. We can actually hear what they're saying without having to yell. Some other nice functions to take note of are the backup lines right here with our rear camera. That's going to help us if we are backing into a spot again, giving us those lines to let us know what distance we're at. And then the base it mounts on here swivels so you can angle it however you need to see it comfortably from your driver's seat. And then with this button on the side here, we can go to our menu where we have options to pair the cameras up during install, set them up with any sort of auto dim features, motion detection, mirroring, or we can go to our picture, say we can select our rear camera again, and adjust brightness, contrast, and color should we so desire. Then pressing the back button there lets us get back to the view here and select whatever camera we want to look from. These cameras are linked to your vehicle's taillights, so should we turn off our headlights, we can see on the screen there, the image will time out and say no signal. And then if we turn them back on, we'll see the signal come back. So you will need to have your headlights on to use these, but that's just something to keep in mind. With our side marker lights here, they can be mounted wherever they fit best on your trailer, or you can go ahead and just replace your existing side marker lights with this unit. It's really just whatever fits best with your trailer. Now the lights themselves and the camera are going to give you a 65-degree viewing angle, which is really going to help cut down on your blind spots when you're driving, which is really important with a big trailer like this. Down the side you will notice these buttons here. These are infrared LEDs. You've got 12 of them, and those are there to help with your nighttime visibility. Taking a look at the rest of it here, you've got a nice durable metal construction. So if you do have rocks getting kicked up, it's going to be just fine with that. And the unit has an IP65 rating, so it's going to be resistant to dust and water, all while remaining DOT compliant. With our backup camera behind me, we're going to get a 120-degree viewing angle, and that's going to be really nice, getting a wider field of view because we can see a lot more with it. We've got ours adjusted up and down to where you can see the back of the trailer right here, so we can see the ladder and even a little bit of our hitch in the camera. And that's nice because if we want to back up to something, we can see those outermost points of our trailer without worrying about hitting something. On this one, you also have infrared LEDs. This time you've got 8 of them arranged around the camera lens. So it's also going to help you with your nighttime visibility. You've got the same metal construction and the same IP65 rating, so you don't have to worry about dust and moisture getting into your unit. Overall, I think this is going to be a really useful system. It's going to give you a lot better visibility in those hard to see areas and let you monitor it in real time from your vehicle so you always know what's going on with your trailer. But how hard is it to get installed? Overall, it's not too bad. There's a lot of different ways you can install certain components, but we'll walk you through that now. So for the first step of our install, we want to find a place to mount our side camera. And we want to mount this somewhere close to the front of the fifth wheel and without obstructions. So in our case today, we've got this one that's closest to the front, our closest side marker, and it's a little bit high up, so it's not going to be great for our view. And we have this awning here that's also going to be a bit of an obstruction, so it's not going to be a great place for us there. And then if we come down to the next closest side marker, it's down here by the door, which is closer to the middle of our camper. which again isn't a great spot because it's not close to the front, and it's going to leave a lot of area that is uncovered by the camera. So what we found is we're actually going to mount it right here in a new spot, and we have plenty of room underneath to run the wires from this middle side marker light up to meet our new mounting point for this one. So if we take a look at our camera unit here, we can come to the side with the cameras, and we've got this label here. It's pretty small text, but right around there under where it says Furrion, it says right side. So we know this one is going to go on the passenger side with the camera facing towards the back. We did the same thing on our driver's side just to find out which one is going to go to which side. On the back here, we see where our wires are coming out, and that's where we're going to drill our hole. That way the wires can pass through and be joined up with our extensions. We already marked our hole here, and all we did to do that was just kind of match up the camera unit where we had a bit of a gap between the door here, and so the right edge lines up pretty okay with that edge of the door there for a clean look. We'll come back to that marking and use our hole saw to drill that out. This is the side marker light that we're going to splice into to extend our wire up to the new camera. We've got green for power and white for our ground, and that's going to be on the trailer side. We grabbed corresponding wires just to make it a little bit easier on us to see it all. And before we go back there, I'm going to take the wire that we're extending it with, strip back the end, and now we can go underneath and make those connections. So it's pretty difficult to see, but here we've got our green wires feeding into this black one here for the side marker light, and our white wires that feed into this black one here. So we're going to kind of separate them so it's a little easier to see. We're going to cut it right here in the middle of that black one there. Try to leave a little bit of room on either end. Right about there looks good. And then we can go ahead, strip back this end here. We'll take this with our wire we're extending and twist them together, grab a butt connector and crimp it down. We'll insert our wires right there and give them a good squeeze to crimp down that butt connector. And then just to test that connection, we'll give a slight tug, nothing crazy, just to make sure it's secured in there. Then we'll go ahead and connect this end on the side marker light in the other end. We'll squeeze that down and then repeat that process for our white wire, and we'll shrink them both down. Just like that. With both those connections made and shrunk down, I'm going to come back with some wire loom, wrap up these two wires together. That way I can route them as one unit, and it's just going to keep them protected when they're under the fifth wheel. This can be a pretty slow process, but just feed those wires into the open end there and just keep sliding it up. Eventually, once the end of the loom comes closer to the ends we just made and connected, I'll go ahead with some electrical tape and seal that up. That way it's not shifting around on us, and it'll keep that end more protected. So it's pretty difficult to see up here, but I've got all the wires wrapped in wire loom and ran up as high as I could get it underneath the fifth wheel here. Right around this storage compartment, you can see where the loom kind of comes down, but as soon as we get past it, it goes up high over to this loose end here, which I'll now take the wires and feed them through that hole that we made earlier. We can pull those ends through the hole now. And what I'm going to do is just pull all that excess through. And we see we've got quite a bit of extra here. So I'm actually going to take this loom back and trim it up a little bit, just so we don't have too much excess hanging down, but I will leave a little bit to work with, so if we ever do need to come back and re-splice these wires, redo any connections, we have the wire to do so. I'll come out to right about here, cut those even right there, kind of get our loom back in place there, and now I can come back and strip these two ends in preparation for getting our camera mounted up. Now we're ready to prepare our camera assembly here. I'm going to take a flat-bladed screwdriver and kind of insert it into this slot right here and give it a little twist. You hear that pop, that cover can come right off, and we have access to these two Phillips head screws. We're going to remove those, and what that's going to do is give us access to remove the camera unit here. We can just pop it out right there, and that'll expose 1, 2, 3, and 4 mounting holes for this unit here. And we can flip it around back to see the wires. Now this system has 4 wires here. We're going to separate those so you can see them a little bit easier. Our black wire is going to be the ground. Our brown and our red wire we're going to twist together for our power. And this yellow wire here is going to be if you want to activate your cameras whenever you turn your turn signals on. So that way, if you turn on your right turn signal, your monitor up in your vehicle will automatically switch to the right camera. Our fifth wheel isn't set up for that wiring today. We'd have to run additional wires, so we're just going to go ahead, pop that end off right here. We'll cut off the excess wire right there on the yellow end, and we'll just tape up that end because it's not going to be in use. Now we can come back here and take off the ends on our other wires, just like this. And I'll probably trim up the ends of these as well, just because they are pretty long. So I'll do the red and the brown first. And then I'll twist those two ends together and repeat that for our black wire and the ground. I'll come back up to our green and white wires here and pre-attach our butt connectors. Again, we're using heat shrink here just for a more weatherproof connection. And we'll just crimp these on both ends here before we bring our camera unit up to join it. We'll feed our red and brown wires in to meet the green wire there. And then our black wire will come in to meet our white wire right here. Then we're just going to come back and do the same thing we did before and shrink these down with the heat gun. With those wires shrunk down, we'll feed them back into this hole here, kind of hold this up into place. With those butt connectors all shrunk down, we can slide our unit into place here, making sure this opening is on the left side for our passenger side here, because that's where our camera unit will slide in. I'll go ahead and secure down this first screw. And from there, I can kind of pivot it, make sure it's even. To get a more precise measurement, I'll kind of go from the flat edge here down to where the fifth wheel angles down there. Make sure that measurement matches on both sides, which it does. And then I can secure it down, making sure that angle is locked in by adding a second screw on the other side. Now we can go back through and add our remaining screws. Now we can add our camera back to the unit here. It does have these slots here, so just line that up with the part we just mounted, push it into place right there, and we can take those tiny screws, make sure you don't lose those, and secure them back in place here. Then we just take our plastic cap and snap it into place, and you should hear a click on both sides right there. With this side fully put back together, we can tie up any loose ends, to secure any loose wire, and repeat that process on the other side. Once both those have been done, we can take it to the back and start on the back camera there. With the rear camera, we want to check one thing before we start installing it. Your RV or fifth wheel might have the factory prep package like ours does today. If it does, you're in luck, because that makes your install a whole heck of a lot easier. Because we have this, what we're going to do is actually come to the prep package spot right here. We've got 4 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and we're going to just remove those with a Phillips head screwdriver. And keep track of these screws. They are really small. You will have screws to replace them, but since they are so small, if you do misplace one or drop one, it's nice to have some spares. So we'll just take these off here to open the cover. And your kit does come with the wiring necessary to wire your camera up to power and ground in case you don't have this prep package, but it'll just be a little bit more work because you have to find a spot to mount it and run those wires. With all 4 of those removed, we can just take our cover off right here. And here we can see our factory wiring poking out right there. Now we'll come back to our camera and remove it from its housing. There's the same 4 screws in the same places here. So we'll just go ahead and start removing those now. With all 4 of those screws removed, I can grab the camera unit by these 2 tabs on the side here, pop it out from the cover like that. We've got our male end of the connector right here and the female end on the fifth wheel side. I did pull a little bit of it out so we have a little bit more room to work and maneuver that cable back there. So I'll just make that connection right here for our power. Tuck that cable in the back there wherever it'll fit. And we can pop the camera unit into place right there where it sits flush. And that should hold right there. We'll take our first screw, run that down to secure it, and then repeat that for the other 3 screws. We can then come back with our antenna, thread it in up top here, and adjust the angle however we want from there. With everything connected, we can come inside, plug in our monitor, and check for any signals. Now, if you see it saying no signal here now, don't be too alarmed. You might have to go and manually pair them just to get the signal to come through. So it's a pretty easy process. None of ours are paired automatically right now, so we'll just come to this button on the side. That's going to be our menu button. We'll go to pairing. Select what camera we want to do, so I'll do left camera for something easy. That's our driver's side. Press that, and it's going to start trying to pair. When this screen pops up, you're going to want to go to that camera unit and press the button on there to pair it. With all of the camera components installed, we can come inside, plug in our monitor, and check to see if they're all paired up. Right now, we've got our camera 4 on. That's our rear camera here. We can tap the screen to bring up the different cameras to choose from, tap again and hit View All. That'll show us all of the cameras hooked up, and we can see that our right camera isn't hooked up right now. That's no big deal. We can go into the menu right here. There's this button on the side. We'll press that, go to pairing, select right camera, and then we'll go and press the button on the camera unit to get it paired up. And just repeat that process for any remaining cameras that need to be paired. One additional piece of setup you might want to do is flipping the image on your screen. So we have our left camera pulled up right now, and you can see on the trailer behind us, eTrailer.com is backwards, which is kind of like how it would look if you were looking through your rear view mirror. You may want to leave it like that, or if you want to flip it, you have that option. So we're going to go press the menu button like we did before, go to the Setup tab. At the very top here, we'll see Mirror, and we can select Left Camera. We have options to rotate, flip, and flip and rotate. We'll just go ahead and do a flip, and you can see now, after I press this back button down in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got it normal right there. So that's just up to personal preference whether you want it to be a mirror image or not. After getting all of our cameras paired up, we can see all three of them working here. All we got to do is mount up our monitor. We've got two options that's included. We're going to go with the suction cup one. So around the back side here, there's a socket and a ball here. So we'll just pop that into place. It is a pretty snug fit, but it's in there now, and we can rotate it around, find a spot on the windshield here, stick it in, and throw the lever there to create a nice, good fit. And we can adjust the monitor there for comfortable viewing and allow us to make adjustments and click on different cameras as we need them. And with all that done, that's going to conclude your install. Really the toughest part was just finding where to get everything mounted up and wiring it. If you have side marker lights that are in a really convenient spot, that's going to help you out because you're not going to have to mount in a new spot, run wires. You can just replace one of those side markers with the side camera unit. And then if you have the factory prep package like we had here today, that's also going to help you out a lot. Really cut down on the install time and simplify the whole process for you. But overall, I think this system is really going to help you out and be a good fit for your camper, however you're going to use it. Again, my name's Aiden here at eTrailer.com. Thanks for watching.